it's Missladypetal here, and I'm talking to you kind of in the middle of the night. The reason I'm filming at this time of the day when everybody else is asleep is I had a migraine earlier on, so I just decided that I would go to bed, and I've basically had a whole night's sleep, and now I feel wide awake at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So, but I thought I would just update everyone about how things have been going for me this week. And I need to stop saying I hate it when I hear all the time. I know it's a constant bugbear with me, and we must do it subconsciously because we're trying to think of what to say next. Interesting. So I've been teaching at Canefield's Clubhouse now for about 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm really interested in the progress of my students so far, and some dark horses that I thought wouldn't have never done art before, but they have this amazing talent, and some others that have some talent that have trouble showing up to class. And my first introduction to a lot of the ladies at the Logan Women's Health and Wellbeing Centre. I went to a vision board workshop on Friday, and because I've done a lot of vision boarding and studied it, I was asked to actually, control a lot of the session and talk about vision boards, which I did. It was a massive success. We had like 26 women that had RSVP'd, and about 30 odd showed up, and I was very excited by that. There was an incredibly diverse range of women there. So there was some young women to some older women, great cultural diversity. It was just lovely. And there was some women there that had an awful lot going on in their lives, and there were some women there that hadn't actually been to an event before, and this was their first foray into it, and they couldn't believe how much they got out of that activity. And it was very much art therapy in practice. It was a huge group session to do vision boarding for, but the way that I presented it was quite soul-searching. There's no point in doing a vision board unless you know what your vision is. And there's no point in doing a vision board when all you just want is love and kindness and caring, which is what a lot of these women had put down, because I'd asked them 3 particular questions. Essentially, what do you want to do, have and be in your life? What do you have to give up? So, number 1, if money wasn't an option and people's judgments and opinions didn't matter, what would you want, have or do with your life? Number 1. Number 2, what would you have to give up to want, have or do those things in your life? And number 3, what beliefs would you have to dispel or get rid of? Or beliefs would you have to install in your life to want, have and do what you want in your life? And so, naturally, that's pretty big for a lot of people. And when the women were, asking for a little bit of help, I think it was very interesting to note that I was able to cut down to the heart of the matter for them pretty quickly. And I had at least 15, 16 comments saying, "Are you a counsellor? You sound like a counsellor." And I said to them, well, I am an art therapist, and part of what I do is therapy, but I do it through art. And I said this process is through making the art, which is your vision board, allows you to access the parts of your brain that you wouldn't naturally consider if we were just sitting here having a conversation. And they got into the space of that. And the upshot of that whole workshop was that I got lots and lots and lots of hugs, and it really cemented to me why I chose art therapy to do this, and the feedback was amazing. All my courses with Logan Women's got booked out, so that was awesome. And I found myself building amazing connections with women who immediately trusted me as a therapist and not just as an artist. Now that I've completed my studies, oh, and FYI, I've completed my studies. So I'm waiting for the piece of paper to come. I have a couple of my last final portfolios to submit, and like that have been submitted but have to be marked. And I'm very excited about that whole thing. I got some more results back from some of my final modules, and I'm maintaining 100% grade point average for this diploma, and I hadn't expected to do that. I hadn't, but I rang the college and said, look, is there something wrong, or do you pass people too easily? And their response to me was, most people don't get 100% on all of their modules, and if you answer the questions and you meet the grade, you will get 100%. And so I know that I've earned it, and I've earned it fair and square, because that was a thought that I'd had, that it was something. I had a concern that I was being marked too easily, because the consistency of 100% across every module was something that concerned me, because I thought I've never gotten 100% on every module. But apparently my understanding of the topics, I actually got the dean is now marking my assignments, the dean of the college, and she's taken over marking my assignments. She noted in her comments on the first one, she took over marking my assignments because, I quote, they were so delightful to read and showed a broader knowledge of the subject matter than what we've taught. And I thought, wow, I didn't see that coming. That blew me away, that comment, and I felt incredibly humbled by that. It was something lovely that reinforced to me that I was doing something that not only was I encouraged to do and had an interest in, but I've become really passionate about, that can make a difference in people's lives. And that for me was the clincher in that. I couldn't believe that I would do so well in those studies. So yes, I've really been excited by that, and I feel like this is where I'm meant to be now. That everything's aligning, and that my 3 years of transition is almost over, because I've almost fully transitioned into what I didn't know that I wanted to be. And But a lot of you had followed me on a big part of that process, and I'm humbled by it. And yes, there's not as much money in it, not yet, you know, not compared to what I was earning before. But there's the ability to make a huge difference in people's lives. And that for me trumps the money, and as long as I have enough to live on, I'm happy. As long as I can still practice my art, I'm happy. So as an aside from all of that, to fill you in on that, I'm got some beautiful happy mail from my friend in America, Annalise. Thank you very much. And I got some other things as well, but I've already used a couple of bits and bobs, Annalise. So you've brightened my day again when you sent me that lovely little package. I finally got my Schminker watercolours from Canson, and they are amazing, mind you. Love, love, love them. And I've done my first Artful Life box review, and really, really cute. For those of you that have watched the review, you would have seen this little postcard. So this is the postcard that I've coloured in using the Moon Glow by Daniel Smith, but also using my other schminkers in there as well. And she's a bit gorgeous. I'm looking forward to using those products more. They are very rich, and most of you know that I love Schminker. I think their pigments are some of the best in the world. And they've given a hot run for it with Daniel Smith, and some people like Daniel Smith watercolours more than the Schminker, but I had the opportunity to get the Schminker, and oh, they are good. And if you want to get some really awesome light fast professional watercolours, I'd save your pennies and get either Daniel Smith or Schminker, but I prefer the Schminker. I had a fabulous weekend at my friend Vicky's last weekend. It was very soaking, like it rained. And it was really gorgeous all weekend, and I went down just to have a rest because I'd had a massive week, and I definitely was able to soak. I would have liked to have had an extra day, but we can't always have those things when we work. And she's awesome. I think sometimes we just really need our friends. And, you know, I have some great friends, and they have supported me throughout this whole time. And that's fabulous. This week I'm hoping to do some more feelings journal work. I have been doing my feelings journal, but I haven't always been taping it because I've been incredibly busy for the last 2 weeks. I was trying to get those last modules done and all the additional work that had to go with the final portfolio submission finished and done. And now that I've finished my studies, I have a little bit of additional time spare, but I have also some meetings with a lifebook friend that I've made, and I get to meet her for coffee on Tuesday, which is amazing. I'm looking forward to that, and planning future workshops and doing all my supplies orders for all my jobs that I'm doing where I'm teaching art. So that's amazing, and I'm excited about that whole scenario in that place. I'm in that heavy planning stage. I'm teaching as well, and I was teaching on doing monotones with the Canefield students yesterday in the painting class that I run, and I said to them, you can only use 2 colours, but I had 3 colours on the table. So I said you can use lilac, a pale lilac and black, or you can use white and black. And we were just using cheap poster paints because my first initial arts order hasn't come in yet. And so we were just using cheap poster paints, and one student struggled and one flew. And the one that struggled was the one that's doing a Diploma of Mixed Media Art at TAFE at the moment, and she struggled with perfectionism and I was talking to her, and I actually had to direct her. I need you to stop sketching with a paintbrush now, and I need you to paint, because she was such a perfectionist. And then the other one just dove in, and she's like a sponge, and she has no painting experience and kind of no ideas of perfectionism, and has not a boldness, because she's a really quite a timid person and unsure of herself, but she's willing to do what I tell her to do. And it's very interesting when we get into the personalities of our students. She produced something amazing, and I picked some surrealism photos as reference photos, and she did an amazing job, but she wanted to quit really early, so she'd done a couple of layers, and she was painting clouds, and we were painting on top of black. So to get the depth and beautiful vibrancy of the clouds on the black and the grey background, she had to do lots and lots of layers, because the more the layers went in, the deeper and more realistic the clouds looked. And she wanted to stop after like 3 layers and said, "Is that done?" And I went, "No." I said, "I think you'll have to do about 20 layers on that. Do it thin, let it dry, do it thin, let it dry." And I explained to her that some of the greatest painters had used very, very thin glazes, like Leonardo da Vinci. He painted with incredibly thin glazes and built up that beautiful translucency of his work over many, 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 many layers. And I tried to explain to her we weren't using glazes, we were using cheap poster paint, which is like using a glaze. But it was the same concept and principle. And she was like, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" And I would say to her, "No, we're not there yet, honey. We have to just do some more." And I gave her my Dina Wakley brushes, the scrubby, because I'd overused them. And so now they're my scrubby brushes that I use for blending skin tones, because they're perfect. You get beautiful blends with them. And you just scrub and scrub and scrub away. And by the end of it, she got into the space of the more layers she put on, the more she understood how good those clouds looked. And she got to the point where she said, "I think I'm finished now." And for the last time I said to her, "No, I want you to do one more layer." And she did it. And I think she ended up doing about probably 18 or 19 layers. So almost the 20 layers. And then she said to me, "Oh, Peter, that last layer has made all the difference." And she said, "I love this picture so much, I'm going home and putting it on my wall." And I made her sign her painting. And she said, "I don't know how to do my signature." So I got to develop her signature. And it was really kitsch, actually. By the time we finished figuring out what her signature would be, it was really kitsch. And she was so excited that she'd signed her first piece of artwork. And this came after she'd done my art journaling class and tried to go out on a limb from the prompt, but didn't have enough knowledge to be able to produce what she wanted. And she said, "I was very upset with myself after that class." And I said, "Why? We all have to start somewhere. And we all have to do something." So for my art journaling class next week at Canefields, for those of them that are feeling down, really down on themselves, I'm actually going to take my first journal in where I didn't do a lot and worked with technique a lot. And I'm going to take that in and show them that first journal, because they've seen some of my later journals, but they haven't seen some of my early work. So I thought I would inspire them with, you've got to start somewhere and do some of your early work, and we'll see how that goes. But it's been very difficult trying to teach for the last 3 weeks with almost no supplies, because the last art teacher kind of didn't teach students to look after their equipment and their in their studies, and they didn't. So a lot of it was in very poor condition, and so the students had no idea how to look after their brushes and make sure that their paint was used up, and things like that. So yes, I'm teaching them that, and I'm really enjoying, you know, like I sound like a little bit of a Hitler sometimes, but I'm enjoying it. Anyway, this is enough for me from now. Thank you again to all of you who support what I'm doing, and I am living the dream, people, living the dream, and I love it. And I don't know how often I'll be able to do my vlogs, but if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm awake and I feel great, then I'll do them then. But as my weeks are getting filled up with activities and I have lots of work to do, that's the life that I wanted for myself. And I think if you work hard and you have a dream, somehow you'll make it happen. I think you've got to have belief in yourself, but I think you've also got to have really good people around you to reinforce that belief that you have in yourself. There are a lot of people that can do it on their own, but there are a lot that can't. And I don't think I would have been able to do this on my own so much. I'm a strong person, but the change was such a quantum difference from just pure business and self-interest to art, which again can be self-interest, but then into therapy and community. And that for me was a big leap. And you had to, no wonder I had to go through 3 years of transition, because I had to change my view on life and what was a priority for me in life. And that was a big thing. Okay, signing off from Missladypetal now. Ciao for now.